of all, thank you to Cynthia for hosting this event. Mayor Doherty, thank you for being here. Fellow clergy, people of Morristown and beyond, thank you for this opportunity to be together to offer our solidarity and our hope and our commitment in the face of really what has been the ultimate curse. The ultimate curse. A curse is a wish to either diminish, damage, or in the case of what happened in Orlando early Sunday morning, to inflict death on people for whatever reason. Curses are devastating. In this case, the spell of this curse is gone all over the world, creating a wave of shock, fear, anger, and grief. And what's happening with these curses of such a violent and so many lives taken degree is increasingly they're being targeted against people who are either marginalized or in some cases many people want them to be invisible. Sikhs in Wisconsin, children in Newtown, African Americans in Charleston, and now this weekend, LGBT people in Orlando, Florida. There's a desire in the curse to cast the spell, to remove whatever is there, and we're here to say the curse cannot continue. The curse is something that we need to address, to respond to. And indeed, there have been responses over the past several days, from the President to the Pope. Leaders everywhere have offered responses, and this vigil is one of dozens that are happening in northern New Jersey alone. Just in northern New Jersey, people gathering together because they need to express their grief, offer up their anger, and in solidarity hope that there's another way that we can respond to these actions that leave us so devastated. Cursing is a scourge. It's a scourge in our world. And if you haven't noticed it, I think we can all attest to it if we pay attention. Cursing has become more commonplace in our culture. And I'm not talking about language, although that language sometimes can be a manifestation of that. No, I'm talking about anytime we give somebody the finger, tell somebody to jump off a bridge or go to hell or drop the F-bomb, hoping that that person will disappear. Cursing is so commonplace now that we have a presidential candidate who on an almost daily basis invokes diminishment against a person or a group without hesitation or remorse. That is happening. It's happening all over the place. And we all commit these curses, not like what we saw in Orlando, but we all commit these curses. We all have this impulse. All those who have spoken have condemned the violence, have condemned the one who inflicted the curse, and the ideology and hatred that goes along with it. That is something that needs to be said and needs to be confronted. But at the same time, we need to investigate the curse and get to the bottom of it and deal with it and respond to it in effective ways. In effective ways. Just telling the curse to go away or to curse the cursor just creates more curse and spreads the hatred further around, even though most of us tonight feel that anger, feel that hatred, feel that fear. We want to respond in kind. The need for us as people of goodwill, as people of faith, is to assess the curse. One way, as one who spends a lot of time dealing with the issue of gun violence, is to be careful of our language. I'm grateful at this moment that the Senate has introduced a filibuster to try and ban assault weapons under the heading of gun control. I would ask you not to use that term. A friend of mine who's been working on this issue for 25 years because his brother was senselessly murdered by a gun-toting vigilante says, don't use that term because all it does is set people on opposite sides of the room. No, the term to use is anti-gun violence or gun safety. It's a small thing, but it's a big thing. And this is not an issue of the Constitution. No, it's an issue of public safety. That's the language that we need to use to help shift the conversation. I'm wearing an orange stole this evening, which Colleen Hintz, a member of this congregation, has made me. I'm wearing it in solidarity with many people across the country this last Thursday. Honored Wear Orange Day, in honor of a young woman who marched in the inaugural parade of President Obama in 2013 with her high school band from Chicago. 2 weeks later, she was cut down by a gun. We wear orange because when you go in the woods during hunting season, orange is a symbol of safety. It's a symbol of safety. It announces to somebody with a gun, don't shoot. Don't shoot. So I'm wearing orange as often as I can. I have an orange United States flag pin, which you can get for yourself or a hat or a t-shirt by just going on wearorange.org. We need to stand in solidarity. You say, well, that's just spitting into the ocean, but if enough of us do it, something will happen. There's a movement, as I said, in the Senate at this moment to restrict the use of guns. There is no reason on God's green earth that anyone, illegally or illegally, should be able to use an AR-15 for any reason. A gun a magazine can be replaced in the blink of an eye. No one needs such a firearm. We need to reduce their availability because if they are available legally, which is the case in Orlando, or illegally, some deranged person is going to get one and use it. We need to work against that. There's an organization that many of us are involved in. It's called Do Not Stand Idly By. It's a growing group of people in faith-based communities. Do not stand idly by, from Leviticus 19:6. Do not stand idly by while your brother's blood is shed. And there's so much pressure and needs to be pressure on people, the wrong people not getting guns. There also needs to be pressure on the manufacturers who produce these guns. And Do Not Stand Idly By is putting pressure on the 7 gun manufacturers to say you need to quit making these implements of destruction. Nobody needs them. You don't need to produce them. They're not allowed to produce them in Europe. They shouldn't produce them here. And there's more and more pressure, including from police departments, saying we don't need the public having availability of these weapons. They need to be taken off the streets. Is that going to solve the problem? Absolutely not. But that's going to be a start. That's going to be a start. And each of us in our own way, in our immediate visceral response to offer a curse to a curse, need to acknowledge that. Acknowledge whatever prejudice we have learned from whatever source. We all have it. You say you don't have prejudice, think again. Because we all have it. And if we're going to move forward on this, we need to acknowledge our own prejudice, our own resistance, our own problems around issues that make life difficult for the world. We need to acknowledge that and deal with our own stuff so we can become peacemakers. Jesus said in his Sermon on the Mount, bless those who curse you. Bless those who curse you. I've been running that over and over in my mind over these past few days, and I need to tell you, I don't want to do that. I don't want to bless the people who curse me. But the challenge for me, and I think I'm not alone in this, is for each and every one of us to come to terms with that desire to curse and turn it to blessing. As cursing wishes the diminishment or the damage or the death of someone, blessing offers the full favor of God's blessing to them. And every tradition speaks of that. Every tradition is organized around that, around blessing. In my experience, and indeed in my faith, this is foundational to what I believe. Blessing wins. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but blessing wins over curse. I want to finish up with two short stories from South Africa, which is a place in the world that, Lord knows, has experienced more curse than any of us can imagine. 5 years ago, I went to Robben Island Prison, which is now a museum just off the coast of Cape Town. It was where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated for God knows how many years. 15 of the 27 years was on Robben Island, all populated by political prisoners. Now it's a museum, and all the guides at the museum are former prisoners. They're all former prisoners. And our prisoner, who's now a guide, said he was put in prison because he wrote a critical letter to the editor as a citizen of Lesotho. He asked a question that somebody decided is a question that cannot be asked, and he goes to prison for an indeterminate term. And he said they developed this elaborate system of communication and offering hope and solidarity to one another. And what he said, which is amazing to me, he said a year before apartheid ended, the prisoners knew that they had won. And he said the guards knew it too. And what it said to me is evil cannot be sustained. Evil cannot be sustained. Yes, it can for a while. And people can foment all sorts of fear and trepidation in the face of evil, but it cannot ultimately be sustained, especially in the face of people offering blessing and hope. The last story I want to tell is a story that Desmond Tutu told at the church that I served in Massachusetts before coming to New Jersey. It was the occasion of his granddaughter's baptism. He began his sermon by thanking the congregation, as many people then as there are here tonight, thanking us. We're looking at each other. Thank you, Bishop. You came here to talk to us. Thank you, he said. You ended apartheid. And people are looking at each other. What do you mean we ended apartheid? You ended apartheid. We didn't end apartheid. He said, no, your prayers ended apartheid. And he told the story of a woman, a Catholic nun, who lived up in the hills of Northern California. And she wrote Bishop Tutu a letter telling him every morning I get up at 2 a.m. and for an hour I pray for an end to apartheid. Bishop Tutu said to us, they didn't stand a chance against a nun praying on a mountaintop in California. If we join together with our hope, with our solidarity, which is being recreated all over northern New Jersey, all over the country, we have a chance to convert hearts, to transform laws, and to make a safer place, especially for those who are pushed to the margin, for those people who are declared to be invisible. They are not invisible. They're our brothers and sisters. And our prayers, our blessing, can lift them up and make an impact in the life that we lead. Amen.